Hey everyone, it's Christina Holloway here. So today we're talking about ways to leverage your current experience for a new job in a new industry or a new field where you'll be competing against people who may be more qualified than you are. Now, there are 3 areas that will help you stand out or feel better able to compete against those more qualified candidates. Real quick before we get started, please make sure to hit the notification button, hit the like button if you enjoy this content, and go ahead and hit the subscribe button. That would be so kind and I would appreciate it very much. All right, so the reason I'm sharing this information today is because I closed out the year in 2020 with 3 clients who were making career changes. In fact, I've also made big career changes like this before, twice. I did it twice actually, so it can be done. Now, as for my clients, one person made a lateral move, one person secured a job higher than the one she currently had, and the third person applied for and landed a job in a completely different field. And that's the one we're going to talk about today. Her biggest concern was that she was going up against people with much more relevant experience for the position, and she wanted to know how to illustrate that she was, in fact, qualified for this job. So today we're going to talk about the 3 areas that I helped her develop: her indirect experience, her work ethic, and her competitive advantage, or the reasons she's a fit for the position. So let's get started. Number 1. Your indirect experience. This is where you focus on soft skills and volunteer projects. For example, I've prepared reports like this before. I've led projects like this before. I've worked directly with executive leadership on these types of projects. I've received great feedback on my contributions. It's interesting because I've worked on this kind of project when I volunteered for this organization. Let me tell you more about it. I'm familiar with this type of work because I used to help my uncle in the summers with his store, and we did this kind of customer analysis. To be honest, I've always enjoyed targeting that information to improve the customer experience. It's what compelled me to reach out and apply for this job. Let me tell you more. You get the picture. What's important here, however, is that your relevant experience has 3 components. You reported to someone. You provided measurable results that are relevant to the open job position, and you received feedback or praise or recognition of some sort. Use this framework to build your experience. And remember, you're building a story here. It's not just about itemizing your skills and experiences. It's about weaving your story into those experiences and explaining why they are relevant to this job. Why are those experiences important to you? This is an unconscious way to anchor the conversation into a meaningful experience for the interviewer, one that the interviewer will remember. You're painting a picture with your words. You want to make sure they remember you. Number 2, your work ethic. This is how you build trust. In order to do this, you'll need to talk about how you're no stranger to hitting the ground running with challenging projects, how you learned on the spot and still brought in great results, how you're flexible and adaptive to new and challenging situations while conducting yourself in an ethical way. Use words like integrity, transparency, strong boundaries, ethical standards. Explain where you don't compromise when it comes to vague directions or circumstances. This is your opportunity to show them that you're capable of learning something new while staying inside the ethical boundaries you've set for yourself. And, of course, those ethical standards should align with the way the company likes to operate. This is your personal brand. I don't cheat. I don't take shortcuts. I prefer to communicate directly, give examples, and again, try to weave in a story. Here's how that played out for me one time. I know it's hard if you're nervous, but try to sound relaxed and casual. You're telling a success story. Practice it until it feels second nature to you. Number 3, your competitive advantage, or why you're a fit for this job. This is where you focus on tangent experience. My client worked for a company for 18 months and therefore had relevant inside knowledge of the company's culture and strategy. This is something the other outside candidates just didn't have to their advantage. If she were hired for the job, she wouldn't need a lot of training to get up to speed, and that was important. This also meant she could continue to focus on this advantage as leverage for why she was a natural candidate. She already had performance reviews as a stellar employee, she had solid relationships with other people at the company, and her supervisor liked her. That didn't mean she was a shoo-in for the job, but it did help her create the narrative that she was an ambitious and dedicated employee with a history of doing great work in alignment with the business objectives. Now, you may not have these particular advantages, and that's okay. You can still focus on tangent experiences in other ways. Did you have experience at a similar company years ago? Talk about the similarities in the culture and your ability to align well with that approach. Did you complete similar projects that have been outlined in the job description? Make sure to mention how you noticed that you have experience doing very similar work in a competitive field and how your projects were successful and the kind of feedback you received. If they ask you why you think you'd be a good candidate for this role, especially considering your lack of experience, make sure you illustrate through your stories that it isn't enough to have the kind of experience that just checks all the boxes. What sets you apart is that you have a passion for this work. You have a vision for yourself and your career that includes this move. Again, circling back to your personal brand, you're talking about your vision and your goals. You are hungry for this experience and you're willing to put in the work to be successful. They wouldn't have taken the time to talk to you if they weren't intrigued by your application, so use that to your advantage. In the end, of course, you put in a great effort in the interview process and you still might not get the job. It sucks, but it's okay. Don't give up. And make sure to keep the lines of communication open. Ask the interviewer for some feedback. What was the deciding factor? I still want this type of job, so where can I close the gap? I'd love to stay in touch in case another opportunity opens up. Now, you may be deflated and not in the mood to stay in touch, and that's fine, but do try to find a missing piece. It will give you an opportunity to close that gap for the next job interview. And that's it. If you've been trying to pivot into a new field or move into a bigger role without success up to this point, then take some time to consider any one or all of these 3 tips. Focus on your indirect experience and volunteer work to illustrate your qualifications. Make sure to weave your work ethic and high standards throughout your answers, and zero in on your competitive advantage over the other candidates. That last one may take some time to figure out, but it's always there. There's always something an outlier has to offer that a standard, well-qualified candidate may lack. Start positioning yourself as a go-getter with compelling ideas and a fresh perspective. It's memorable and it sets you apart as exciting and new. Now, if you want to learn more about developing a powerful personal brand, and that's definitely a large part of what this topic was about, then take the time to download my free ebook on the 4 elements of a strong personal brand. I've included it in the description below. Just a reminder that if you like this video and you want to see more content that will help you build an effective leadership brand as you climb the ladder of success, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a helpful tip from me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!